Hey everyone, welcome back to DET Practice. If you've ever taken a practice test and thought, I know what I want to say, I just can't get it out smoothly, this video is for you. Today we're talking about one of the most misunderstood parts of DET speaking scores, fluency. I'm going to show you exactly how it's graded and then give you real strategies you can start using in your very next practice session. Let's get into it. First, let's clear something up. Fluency does not mean speaking fast, and it definitely doesn't mean speaking with zero pauses. Look at this table. It breaks down what the DET fluency descriptors actually expect at each score range. And here's the key insight. At the very top score range, 155 to 160, speakers still pause. The descriptor literally says pauses are in natural places and occasional fillers are totally fine as long as they don't interrupt the flow. In the 130 to 150 range, it's the same idea. A steady pace with brief pauses or fillers that don't disrupt communication. But once you drop into the 100 to 125 range, and especially 60 to 95, the problem isn't pausing itself, it's that the pauses become long, frequent, and land in unnatural places, to the point where they actually damage the listener's understanding. So here's the takeaway. Your goal isn't to eliminate pauses. Your goal is to control where and how you pause. That's what separates a top-scoring speaker from a lower-scoring one. Not perfection, but control. So the real question becomes, how do we train that control? That's exactly what these next strategies are for. I want to give you 4 practical tools you can use the moment you open your mouth in the DET speaking section. First, say something at the start that works for any question. Buy yourself a second with a natural opener like, "That's a good question," or "Let me think for a second." This isn't stalling, it's completely natural speech, and it gives your brain time to organize your answer. Second, turn the question into a statement. Instead of sitting there thinking about how to answer, "What are some reasons for learning English?" just flip it. Some reasons for learning English are. Now you're already talking, and the content follows naturally. Third, use a filler phrase when you're searching for a word. Words like, like I mean, or well, are your safety net. They keep the flow going instead of leaving dead silence. And fourth, add a short transition phrase when you're thinking of your next idea. Phrases like, "And also, I like noodles because they're cheap and filling." Well, another thing is I can change them easily by adding vegetables or eggs. That's signaling a new idea is coming, so a short pause here actually sounds intentional, not hesitant. Okay, 4 strategies, but strategies only matter if you can actually use them in real speech. So let's put them to work. Let's say the question is something like, describe a meal you eat often. Watch how a fluent response actually threads all 4 strategies together. I'll walk through it piece by piece. We open with our starter. That's a good question. Let me think for a second. And notice it immediately flows into, I think for me, a meal I eat often is noodles. That's turning the question into a statement. Then, as the speaker searches for the next detail, I usually eat them for lunch during the week or like when I'm busy. Those are filler phrases, buying time without breaking the flow. Now watch the transitions. And also, I like noodles because they're cheap and filling. Well, another thing is I can change them easily by adding vegetables or eggs. That's signaling a new idea is coming. And finally, notice the ending. So for me, noodles are a simple and comfortable meal. So yeah, that's about it. A clean, natural close. See what happened there? Not one part of that answer was silent or awkward dead air. Every pause had a job to do. That's the entire secret of fluency. It's not about eliminating pauses, it's about making every pause useful. And that brings us to our final piece, how to pause on purpose. This is probably the most underrated skill in fluency training, pausing strategically. There are 3 specific moments where a pause actually helps you. First, pause to plan what to say next. Instead of filling that gap with or just take a silent beat. Compare these two.
Fluent. It's better to study online because it's more flexible. Less fluent. It's better to study online because it's more, flexible. The pause before the reason sounds confident. The hesitation sounds uncertain. Second, pause between ideas. This shows the listener where one thought ends and the next begins. Fluent. Another reason is it's cheaper. Less fluent. Another reason is it's cheaper. See the difference? One sounds planned. The other sounds like you're rebuilding the sentence as you go. Third, pause for emphasis. A short pause right before or after an important word makes that word stand out. Fluent. The thing is, teamwork is essential. Less fluent. The thing is, teamwork is essential. Same words, but the pause placement completely changes how confident it sounds. Notice the pattern across all three examples. It's never whether you pause, it's always where. Move that pause to the wrong spot in the middle of a phrase, and it sounds hesitant. Move it to a natural boundary before a reason, between ideas, before a key word, and it sounds like control. All right, let's bring it all together. First, remember that even top-scoring speakers pause. The goal is control, not silence. Second, use those 4 strategies: an opener, turning questions into statements, filler phrases, and short transitions to keep yourself talking. And third, practice pausing on purpose, to plan, between ideas, and for emphasis. Fluency isn't about talking without stopping. It's about making every pause sound like it belongs there. That's everything for today's lesson. If you like more speaking exercises, log in to DETpractice.com now and claim your 3-day VIP trial. Start practicing smarter today.